more common to have younger people in senior roles. I've been noticing that more and more people become presidents, CEOs, and board members at an earlier age than before, and it's still striking. Not to mention that some reach mid-level managerial positions earlier in life than previous generations did. This is not always the case, but some companies and establishments seem to value fresh blood and ideas, and according to an article in Harvard Business Review, firms with younger CEOs are more valuable. The article is titled, "Should Older CEOs Be Forced to Retire?" I'm not going to discuss this. But what's the implication for our generation? Well, we can try to ride this wave and get exciting job assignments and career opportunities early on if we're willing to get out of our comfort zone and take on this challenge. Such opportunities inevitably come with a great deal of potential backlash. There will always be those who think you're too young and inexperienced for the job, that you took their place, and some will even ask you, "How old are you?" I'm speaking from experience here. None of these comments and attitudes ever discouraged me, but I did draw a couple of conclusions from them. First of all, let me tell you about my very first such experience. Luckily, it was an absolutely positive one, so it helped me believe in myself from the start. I'm also talking about a much more challenging project in corporate nuisance video, if you'd like to hear about a different example. I was wrapping up my PhD and arranged with the head of the lab that I stay on for a while longer after my defense. This extra time would allow me to finish the project that took a new turn and find a new place for a postdoc, or perhaps another kind of job. In academia, you're supposed to rotate and try yourself in different, hopefully adjacent fields to gain experience in aspiration to one day get a permanent position. More on prospects in academia in my video on life after the PhD. But there was another very good reason that excited me about staying in the same lab for a little longer. My PhD supervisor had a small team working on her project. A highly experienced senior technician, a couple of interns that stayed from half a year to a year, so regularly rotating, and myself. In the beginning, we used to have Monday morning briefs in her office to plan out everyone's work, and afternoon meetings to discuss intermediate results. The further into my PhD, the more independent I became, and the cadence of these meetings subsided. Besides coordinating my own project, I progressively took over planning the intern's work and coordinated with the technician what we needed to do together. I would say I was still the co-pilot, as my supervisor kept overseeing the project direction, and I was the daily manager. She was still the one making sure we produced results for a compelling publication. As the team became more self-sufficient, my supervisor started focusing more on the activities she performed with the training department of the Institute. First, she was doing it as a side project, but close to the end of my PhD, she was invited to take the role of Director of Training and Education full-time and was eager to make this transition. I was very happy for her, as I understood her desire to take on a new challenge and change her career. For me, this also meant much more responsibilities, as I now had 2 interns to take care of who needed to complete their projects and defend them at their schools. The head of the lab also entrusted me to run the project further for another year and coordinate all the work necessary for another publication. I transitioned to a postdoc position after my PhD, but de facto, I felt like a team leader entitled to drive the project. And I define success very simply. Get a grant to continue the project, generate data for another publication, and make sure the interns successfully complete their parts of the work. This required a lot of planning and coordination, filling out quite a bit of paperwork and admin tasks, and thinking through all the experimental designs with utmost scrutiny. The latter is what I've already been doing, but I used to have my supervisor backing me up. Now I was entirely responsible for the outcome. It felt different. Long story short, we did get a grant and prepared materials for another publication. I was very pleased with the interns' contributions, and they got good grades for their work. So, what's critical for me in this story? Looking back, I was analyzing what made the head of the lab think I can pull it off. He could have just assigned all of us to another senior researcher in the lab to drive this project. I think there were a couple of things here. First of all, I voluntarily took more and more responsibility over the team's work planning and reporting, even before my supervisor started phasing out into her new role, so it was a logical continuation. Oftentimes, those who exhibit willingness to drive projects and execute beyond their job description have leadership potential. I see it now with my current team, and I believe the head of the lab thought so too. Then this willingness comes to a test. So my second point is actually work style and path to results. Our work was very structured. We planned and delivered on schedule, and if the experiment didn't work out, we analyzed everything and proposed alternative approaches or tweaks to the method with full traceability. You'd think every scientist should do it, and they do. But our structured approach was also visible. Lab benches were clean after the experiments, lab journals were up to date, all solutions in the fridge were carefully labeled and properly stored. We duly signed up for instrument use, regularly updated the head of the lab on our progress. What I'm saying is that it's important to be organized and be fully consistent with the work ethics. You're making sure your manager knows what to expect from you, and you're also making your process foolproof. If you've pulled it out before, you'll pull it off again. That's why I think that a proper working style serves you well when others make up their minds about your skill set. Finally, it's your personal traits. You'd expect someone who looks neat, takes good care of themselves, speaks confidently, and has other aspects of their life in check to behave so in work settings. That's one of the reasons I adopted a business casual style during my lab tenure and often wore a white shirt, even under the lab coat, because it made me feel confident and empowered for more than just lab work. I truly believe that a little white shirt goes a long way. Finally, I also believe that letting your colleagues know you as a person helps them understand who you are and what they can expect from you. My case was fairly easy as the team was very well spirited. We enjoyed spending some time offline over dinners, glasses of wine, shopping and traveling together. One of my colleagues was the witness at my wedding. So I had the luck to experience a leadership role in such a positive context, and that gave me a bit of extra confidence to pursue this further. I'm well aware that not all teams are so welcoming. And overall, not every experience in the workplace is so positive, especially when it comes to young professionals trying to establish themselves, earn trust, and grow into respected leaders. To give you examples from my professional career that were much more challenging, check out the following videos, where I talk about trickier situations and my wardrobe. But I hope you also have such positive stories that help you build confidence in yourself and advance your career. Cheers!